And welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Bobley, and our next guests, well, they join us to educate us on sickle cell disease. You know, it's out there. We've been talking about it for a long time. Their work is to raise education and awareness. We welcome Bruce Blount, Donette Carroll, Candace Delaire, and Dr. Cassandra Dobson. We welcome you guys to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
To the crew that's sitting high and low. Good morning.
Good morning.
So tell us about some of the work you guys are doing in our community. Who wants to start? Choose.
Okay.
Doc?
No.
Oh, me? Yeah. Okay. No, one of the things we are working on is the Sickle Cell Treatment Act bill. It's an amended bill, State Assembly Bill 8339 and Senate Bill 3256. And the reason for this is that in spite of the fact that New York State, next to Florida, has the highest population of individuals living with sickle cell, we get the least amount of money. 25 years ago, I think we got $10 million.
Yeah.
Now we only have $250,000 for the entire state of New York.
All right, so what do you want the elected officials to do? This is a bill that's
To
going
support the bill.
Yes.
To support the bill, the amended bill. Because in the amended bill, we are asking for $3 million, which is quite small in comparison, but it's much better than $250,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and when you think of the fact that sickle cell disease costs New York State Medicaid a lot of money, $15,000 per patient per year. It's the highest rate, for Medicaid. And if the state would give us 3%, if they would help us, they could save money. They could save.
Yeah, under current conditions, how's the treatment under these current conditions and this budget?
Cassandra could speak to that.
Well, the treatments still continue to be a deficit for sickle cell patients, and physicians really are not apt to care for patients with sickle cell disease. They only see it as a pain disease, not as a holistic disease.
They treat it as a pain disease.
Right. So you come in and you might have a high temperature, infection, other things going on, and that's not their concern. Their concern is to treat you with the pain medication, to alleviate the pain without looking to see what's causing the pain. And so and there was just a report that just came out where they did a survey on physicians to see what is their perception about taking care of our patients, and their perception was very poor, that they really don't want to take care of sickle cell patients because they just see them as a pain person rather than a holistic person.
Wow.
Yeah.
What part?
This month is Sickle Cell Disease Awareness Month, and so a lot of programs are going on, and what we're trying to do is educate people about the illness. People are suffering from a lot of organ damage and pain crises, ulcers, acute chest syndrome, and it's not really clear as to how this all comes about. People always ask, how do you get sick, or how do you prevent getting sick? But it's an unpredictable disease.
Yes.
So there's nothing in particular that would necessarily cause a pain crisis. It can come on through stress. It can come on through being cold, too hot. And so we're trying to educate people with sickle cell and also family. So it's really important to try to connect with our community so that we can be heard and understood.
And of course, you work with a lot of people who are dealing with sickle cell. Bruce, your sickle cell?
Because Sickle Cell Awareness Month is so important, right? A lot of young people don't know they have the trait, right? Even though teen pregnancy is down, sometimes teenagers do have children, and then they're with somebody who does have trait. So then you have a child who's born with sickle cell disease. It's 1 out of 3 now. It used to be 1 out of 5. So being tested is much important, and you can get it tested now. It's not really taking blood. You can do it with a swab.
Yeah. So, but you can have the trait and not have sickle cell.
Yes, you can have the trait, not have sickle cell, but sometimes people have complications from having trait. Not as much, but the disease, it's more effective.
And you're living with it?
Yes, I'm
How do you
living
deal
with
with that?
Every day, as best as I can, try to eat right, try to stay hydrated, and it's advocating for yourself. You know, as you grow older, you have to understand your illness and then let the doctor understand it for you.
Yeah.
So it's much of just trying to stay healthy. You know, I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old, and from that point in time, I had problems. Doctors told me I would pass before the age of 40, but I'm here now, 55 years old.
You're
so
an
I'm still
old guy
doing it.
now.
I'm old. Old as a shoe.
He's an old man now.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were that old. You no. But that's good. We give him another big round of
looks
applause.
here.
So you're doing some things, and people can call you because they can learn from some of the things that you've done to make it last.
We want people to call and inform themselves. You know, all the information will be, I think, at the end of the program. I have a nonprofit. Candace has a nonprofit. Donette has a nonprofit. So we're really here to try to help people.
I would like to disclose that I also have sickle cell disease.
Yes.
And raising awareness is my mission and my passion. And it's just very important to understand that it's fatal. And people don't understand that we are still dying from it. You know, we are living longer, but the sustainability is not there. You get us to age 40, oops, I'm not, no. But, and then.
No, you gave it away. You gave it away.
And then it's kind of like, you know, we run out of ideas on how to keep us alive. And
Yeah.
so that's the reason why we need the funding, so that we can get the doctors to work on keeping us well and healthy.
Yeah.
That's the major thing right
The
now.
major
funding.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
As a matter- go
sorry,
ahead, go ahead.
I just wanted to piggyback on Candace when she said that we never know what will cause the crisis. We do know. We know that it's stress. We know that it's exhaustion. We have like about 21 factors, but what the doctors need to do is take the time to see what psychosocial factors. You know, we have homeless patients that are sickle cell people. Once you it's Maslow hierarchy of need. Once you take care of their needs, you will see that they're in the hospital less, they're not coming to the hospital. So once we can figure it out, but doctors are not concerned about those
Yeah.
issues, and we have to make them be aware that there's about 21 precipitating factors that might cause it: stress, psychosocial issues, heat, cold,
Living in New York
infection,
City is
living in New York City, taking the
That's right.
subway.
Yeah.
You know, any kind of those factors can cause a crisis.
And what's interesting is when I said sometimes you don't know, I can wake up and I'm fine, and then out of nowhere I will have pain in my knees, and I don't understand where it's coming from. I'm not having a stressful moment,
Yeah.
but you know, sometimes your body just triggers something. And
Well,
so
let's
in-
take a step back. For people who don't know what sickle cell disease is, Doc, explain it to us.
Okay, Doc.
Doc, okay. It is an autorecessive gene that we get, like Bruce says, from having two traits. So if we have a male and a female that has the trait and they get pregnant, it might be 1 in 3 that the child will be born with sickle cell disease. We have many myths about how this came into play, one of them being that the mosquito phenomena, where we developed the sickle trait to prevent us from getting malaria. But the real genetics behind having sickle cell disease is a switch on the DNA structure causing a DNA amino acid to switch places with another. So number 6 on the chain of DNA
Yes.
switches with number 9, which is valine with glutamic acid. This is kind of medical.
All right, now let's break
And
it down now. Let's break
I'm
it down
trying
for
to.
people, for
So
people
there's
watching
just
us
a
right now.
DNA, right? There's
Yeah,
a
what
DNA.
happens to the body? What happens to the?
Okay, so we believe that during the birth process, that when you the forming of the DNA structure, which we all have,
Yeah.
all the DNA has to be placed in a specific place. In
Sure.
our process with the sickle cell disease, and I can disclose that I have the disease as well, one of the DNA amino acids for some reason just switch places. We believe it's a molecular malfunction where it switches places on the DNA structure,
Yeah.
causing the cells to sickle and causes causing stickiness to the cell, and
So
therefore
the blood flowing through the veins
Right,
and the
become
arteries become
sickles,
sickled,
Sick-
depending on one factor,
and they create blockages.
decrease oxygenation to the cell.
Ah.
So there's an apoxia or decreased oxygenation that occurs that causes the cell to sickle. Then once they start to sickle, it becomes sticky and they clump together.
And then what happens to you? What happens
Pain.
to you
Pain.
guys?
Pain, excruciating pain.
Excruciating pain.
Right.
Right.
And
And,
I-
inflammation is
And
as
inflammation,
yeah.
Inflammation.
right. Because the area becomes really hot, swollen, and that's a sign that there is inflammation in
And there's a
that area.
blockage.
And
At
blockage.
that
So
point.
usually, if we can't manage the pain at home, we go into the emergency room, and the process is a
How often do you go to
I'm in the
hospitals?
I'm in the emergency about 4 times a year, and I'm hospitalized about twice a year.
The same for you.
Yeah, so far this year I was hospitalized twice. I went Father's Day weekend and then one time in April. Because when you're at, basically what it is, when you try to deal with it at home, your medications can only do so much. So then after that you need maybe a blood transfusion, hopefully not. Because the more blood transfusions that you have, then that messes up your iron intake in your body,
Yeah.
and then you can also have problems.
And the
from that.
fluid is important,
Yeah,
so a lot of
IV
times they'll
fluids.
give intravenous fluid.
What advice would you give to people who maybe have sickle cell, but they really don't know how to deal with it properly?
Well, I believe to meet up with the community-based organizers, I think that's a wealth of knowledge there, and they will direct them into the best hospitals, the best doctors that take care of sickle cell patients. Donet's organization has been instrumental in getting patients to where they need to go and get the kind of services that they need. And we have many other, such as the Q-Scan in Queens.
Who are you directing that bill to? Are they working on it now?
Yes,
Yes.
it's in process. Well, actually, what we're doing now is getting signatures.
Signatures.
What's the
And
name of
there's
the
a
bill?
website. It's the New York State Sickle Cell Treatment Act.
Mm-hmm.
And the website that people could go on to send a letter to their assembly person or state senator is nysicklecelladvocacy.org.
Tomorrow's election day. For the Senate and the
For the
Assembly.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I didn't even think of that.
So here's a camera. Reach out to them.
Okay, the website is nysicklecell, SICKLECELL, advocacy.org, and you just fill in your name, address, and your zip code is very important because by your zip code, your state senator and assembly person will receive a letter from you.
And what's the information for your organization?
My organization is sicklecellinitiative.org, and at this particular time, give scholarships for students who have sickle cell. Because what happens when you're a sickle cell patient and you go to school, sometimes you're out because you're in the hospital or you're sick, and what happens now, the government cuts your financial aid. So you need the assistance when you go into school. So our organization does that.
You have an organization also?
Sure, it's Candace's Sickle Cell Fund, Inc., and the website is Candace'sSickleCellFund.org. And pretty much, we started off with scholarships, but we've been doing this for 15 years, and there's nothing that we won't try to help a person with.
And Doc?
I just go around talking about it.
That's
I
good.
also
Creating the
teach,
awareness.
right, I teach at Lehman College, and one of my goals is to develop a curriculum for nurses to
Sure.
to take care of patients with sickle cell disease.
Now, before we go, tell us about this walk.
Okay, the walk is September the 17th, which is this coming Saturday. It will be in Central Park at Center Row next to the band shell. The best way to enter the park is on 72nd and 5th Avenue. It will be a day of activities and just really coming together as a community.
That's the
Uh,
18th, right?
The 17th,
17th.
Saturday the 17th,
Okay, so
right.
just before the African American Day Parade.
Right,
Okay.
in Central Park. So we just want to invite everyone to come out and join us and have a fun-filled day.
All right, give them all a big round of applause, everybody. Sickle cell, what's the website again?
For the Sickle Cell Walk, it's sctpnwalk.net.
But the whole organization, you're going to sickle cell awareness .org or something like that?
Oh, the sickle cell, new NY,
SickleCellFund.org.
right, NY sicklecell.advocacy.org. That's for the entire state of New York.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for coming by.
Thank you for having us.
Continue,
Thank you so
stay
much.
strong. And you're gonna live to be 100.
Well, you know, I said that I'm going to be the first sickle cell patient to live to be 90.
Yeah, well, all right. No one's lived to 90 yet?
Well, I'm 63.
All right, well. Well, God bless you guys, okay? Pastor, give him some praise here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
We're going to
Thank
take a
you.
quick break right here, but coming up next, we're going to preview a series of walks with the goal to end domestic violence. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more next.